know what Sony had? The Holy Trinity. Leo, Brad, and Margot. Who do you have?
Hello and welcome to Boy Party, the podcast about movies where two major stars share the screen and battle it out for screen time, top billing, the fatter paycheck, and the most acclaim. My name is Lucy Daly, and I'm joined by my narcoleptic pal that I have to drag in behind a tree to rest his weary head every time he falls asleep. It's Shane Kelly.
Good morning.
Is this good narcolepsy representation?
No.
We know a person who suffers from this affliction.
We know a narcoleptic.
So we have a disproportionately good knowledge of narcolepsy.
Yes. Well, by definition, I think what is on display in this film is cataplexy.
That's the falling asleep.
This is sudden falling asleep when you are shocked or surprised or something.
Okay. That's a real that's what people think narcolepsy is. The way that people think Tourette's is just going fuck shit, fuck.
Potentially. I think it might be also, I'll have to check this up again, but I think that also might be considered like narcolepsy type 2. Yeah. Whereas narcolepsy type 1 is the more common one.
Okay, like diabetes,
where narcolepsy type 1 is just, what I'm told is that all the time you feel like you've been awake for 48 hours.
Yeah, okay.
And you have had a lot of trouble waking up.
It's an all-consuming thing rather than specific moments. Yeah. So we need more specific names for specific versions of afflictions. Like, I feel like words like narcolepsy, diabetes, autism, they're too broad, and they have too many different types of experiences and people.
Like, that's
brought
the
in
sleep
under
one,
them.
that's the tummy one, that's the brain one.
I think we need more much more narrow terminology for the things that people live with.
They definitely exist, and we just don't look them up or use them.
But the media doesn't either,
No.
And social media doesn't. Anyway, welcome to our My Own Private Idaho episode, if you were wondering what movie we were talking about.
Where we diagnose you.
Yeah, exactly. We're taking listener calls today to diagnose you with either narcolepsy, autism, or diabetes. One of those three. The world exists on that spectrum. We definitely didn't know there was going to be narcolepsy in this film. And that was a weird, surprising, and I would argue unnecessary element of the film.
A little bit. It doesn't serve any real plot function in that the narcolepsy is never kind of taken advantage of. It is never used as leverage by other characters to take advantage of the main character who has narcolepsy. What it's used more so is a
fast-forwarding device.
It's a fast-forwarding device, yeah, which I find pretty interesting. Like, it's kind of unnecessary. It's just a way out of every single scene.
Yeah.
When tension gets to a certain point, he falls asleep, and you're like, all right, the next point now.
I don't suppose that the narcolepsy comes from the Shakespeare. No, I don't think so.
It Richard II?
So it's Henry the Fourth.
Henry the Fourth,
Part 1, and Henry the Fourth, Part 2, and Henry the Fifth.
Okay,
those are two different guys. I wish I knew more about Shakespeare.
We should put a Shakespeare person on.
We should. I don't understand why Shakespeare would have written a play about Henry the Fourth and a play about Henry the Fifth. Did he just do plays about every king?
Maybe.
Would this just be like now
There's not much else
there
going
was
on.
a screenwriter who just made a film about every American president, and you're just like...
Yeah, I was about to say, there
Rob Reiner in 2015, and you're just like, these are getting boring now.
How many did Oliver Stone do? He did
2.
JFK and Bush.
He did 3. He did Nixon, JFK, and Bush.
Yeah, there we go.
3's pretty good.
Yeah. Shakespeare,
the Oliver Stone of his day.
Yes.
So... let's not mention all the time Shakespeare hung out with Putin and interviewed him and all that. Yeah. But if Oliver Stone had just kept going and he was like, Woodrow Wilson movie with, Danny Houston, and you're like, we don't need to see that. And he's like, no, it's so interesting. One time his nephew stole some money from him, and you're like, oh, okay. And then there was a major moral dilemma, and he spoke to God, and you're like, all right, okay. That's kind of what Shakespeare was at. He was like just religious enough to keep these things all existing on a plane of interesting transient kind of mysticism. Yes. I don't know anything about Shakespeare, but I didn't cop the Shakespeare thing about this movie until about 20 minutes before we went to see it, when I looked up on Wikipedia and was like, oh, it's a Shakespeare thing. Don't know if that bodes well, but I liked it. And I didn't think it was like the film's defining characteristic that it had.
No,
this
not the
Shakespeare
slightest.
influence.
It's only dropped in kind of every now and again, the kind of Shakespearean antics.
It's a bit jarring when it kind of comes and then it goes away. I didn't find
it overly jarring. I thought they kind of progress into it where the language gets a little bit more
Yeah.
into it, and then you kind of cop and you're like, oh, they're actually talking fucking ridiculous.
And
here
then
now.
they kind of progress back out of it.
Yeah.
It's sort of the first chunk of the film is very contemporary, doesn't really have the Shakespeare stuff evident. Then when Bob is introduced and they kind of go into Bob's, I don't know, crack den.
Sorry, they seem to occupy an abandoned hotel.
Yes.
Which is pretty fun.
Which is fun.
And this old lady is there and she kind of keeps an eye on them.
But that's also such a weird space.
Yeah.
Unusual space that it does kind of resemble weird castle or whatever that people would live in Shakespearean times.
Yeah, I
because
think
that's a weird, not modern living
the kind
space.
of mix of him falling asleep every so often, them being in weird spaces that don't really exist.
Yes.
Like the whole thing is kind of, it's very dreamy.
Very dreamy. And then just kind of...
And then standing out in the middle of a road in Idaho was like...
Exactly. Oh, it starts off dreamy. And like it almost feels as if like if the light shines too brightly in your eyes, you might just collapse in a heap on the ground.
Yeah.
Be transported to a new space.
Sure.
We unusually saw this film in a cinema for the first time 2 weeks before recording this episode.
We didn't really plan to do an episode on this before we saw it.
It was on the list.
It was on the list, yeah.
And I sort of said to you, sure, we'll do it if neither of the Keanu films win March Madness.
Yeah.
We had Point Break and Devil's Advocate on March Madness this year, and they both got knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I was like, well, if we're going to do one Keanu movie, let's do this. I also think this is by far the most interesting of those films.
Definitely.
And I don't think Keanu Reeves' later career is as fun to talk about as this early stage, because honestly, he's way more interesting when he's young and pretty and full of energy. And now he's become this, I think, very kind of exhausted, like, Timu Tom Cruise, that I find just a little bit of like he's playing to people's 90s nostalgia in a way that I find a little bit boring. But anyway, and River Phoenix is like one of these great, very, very compressed film star careers of someone who died really, really young and really, really soon after they became famous. But he's in like 4 to 6 extremely iconic films within that period. So a very unique angle to take for us on a film's actor's career, where like we can kind of do the usual length discussion, but you're only talking about like 6 movies. Anyway, it's a Gus Van Sant movie from 1991, and Gus Van Sant has a new film out right now called Dead Man's Wire. And as a result of this coming out, the Lighthouse put on a screening of My Own Private Idaho and a screening of the Nicole Kidman one. The name is escaping me. It'll come to me in a sec. On St. Patrick's Day, which was really fun and to die for. And
I was very resistant to go to the cinema on St. Patrick's Day. I felt like a waste of
I know.
day.
I don't think I've ever done it before in my life.
It was worth it. It was a good thing to do.
I don't think if you don't have a drinking activity planned, I think going to the cinema on St. Patrick's Day is... I'm a big advocate for going to the cinema on public holidays.
Yeah.
Like I would absolutely, if I lived in a country where cinemas were open on Christmas Day, go to the cinema on Christmas Day every single year. The one time I was 2 years ago, I was in Paris and I went to see The Holdovers on Christmas Day, and it was a great time.
Yeah.
I would have rather not done it on my own, but I would like love to be able to go to the cinema.
What kind of people were there?
Well, it was France, so all sorts of people.
Okay. Yeah.
Like that's not a Christian country. Like
for sure, but it was like old couples, or was it people and their kids?
It was not. No, there was no. Well, it was the Holdovers, so there wasn't really going to be kids at it. Although French kids, God knows. I don't know. You know what? It wasn't like a distinctive type of person. I feel like it wasn't distinctive. It wasn't like, oh, this is full of, Muslim people or whatever. Like it was a mix. I'd say if you were in London and there was a cinema open on Christmas Day, you'd see that it would be like very clearly like ethnic people and not white Christmas celebrators.
Yeah.
But I wonder if cinemas open in London on Christmas Day. I must find out. Anyway. Gus Van Sant, new film out, constantly working, great career, one of the only gay filmmakers to ever be kind of accepted into the American mainstream and like allowed to flourish and be at the Oscars and be openly gay in the 90s, working within the studio system, which I feel like was very limited. And up until the last 10 or so years, the only kind of gay filmmakers existing in the mainstream were really him and Todd Haynes and Almodovar and, very little in America. So he's an important figure and probably not as much of a household name now as he was like 20 years ago. I mean, I knew who he was really young because I feel like he had a couple of big independent films coming out in a short window when I was just starting to become, conscious of film culture, because Elephant, Last Days, Paranoid Park all come out 2003, 2005, 2007, and were all really hot button movies, because Elephant is about school shootings, Last Days is about Kurt Cobain, and Paranoid Park is about, I don't know, fucking skateboard, police brutality stuff. I haven't seen it. But those were like controversial, hotly debated films. And Last Days is like really interesting. I haven't seen that. It's like a semi-fictional Kurt Cobain's death movie with Michael Pitt as a Kurt Cobain type who is called Blake in the movie, but he looks like Kurt Cobain, and it's very obviously about him. But that was like how I was introduced to Gus Van Sant. Was like, oh, he makes these esoteric films. But like he had been making Good Will Hunting 10 years previously. He was super mainstream and was making Oscar-winning films. Good Will Hunting is kind of his only mainstream film in the 90s, because like this and Drugstore Cowboy and To Die For are not like that. And then Psycho remake 1998, which is one of the most stupid, pointless things ever, but is interesting. For those who don't know, he remade Psycho shot for shot, the exact same.
In
he
color.
Didn't change a single thing, in color, with Vince Vaughn as Norman Bates and Anne Heche as the Janet Leigh character. And then he kind of reverts back to Good Will Hunting mode in 2008 a little bit, which is his kind of big gay blank check Milk with Sean Penn, which is great, which I really, really like. And if you want to hear me talk about Milk, we discussed it on the recent episode of my podcast City Sickos, where we discussed it in contrast to Michael Collins. Check that out. But Milk is great, but Milk is also like gay filmmaker getting to make a biopic of the great gay political leader in 2008 with a Hollywood studio, and it wins Best Actor at the Oscars. Granted, with the straightest actor in the world, but like he's cashing in a big fucking favor there, getting that made, which is great. And then he has a movie called Restless with Mia Wasikowska, and then he does Promised Land with Matt Damon, which I think Matt Damon was gonna direct and then didn't, and it's written by John Krasinski and Matt Damon. And Gus Van Sant ends up directing that, and I don't think he really puts much of a spin on it. It's like an oil movie. And then he does this thing with Matthew McConaughey called The Sea of Trees. He does this like quadriplegic drama with Joaquin Phoenix and Jonah Hill. Don't worry, he won't get far on foot, which is, I think, is a title that belongs on your sweaty titles list.
Yeah, sure.
And then his first movie in 8 years is Dead Man's Wire. So he's slowing down. And
how old is he now?
He's probably in his 70s, I'd say. He's 73. But like, it's a bit of a sense to me that the kinds of movies that Gus Van Sant was making just don't get made anymore. And I'd say he doesn't have any desire or need to take shitty gigs on films where he has no input. Like, oh, Gus Van Sant, you want to do this biopic of X musician? He's probably like, no, I don't want to do that.
Dead Man's Wire doesn't seem overly ambitious.
No, that seems like that is to Gus Van Sant what Send Help is to Sam Raimi. It's like, you're good at this kind of thing. Have fun with it. You'll shoot it in a month. Then it's like, I think that's probably just an easy semi-retirement project for him. And I guess he is semi-retired. And I would imagine from looking at this list, like the one person who'll probably get him on a big project again would be Matt Damon, who's his old pal, or maybe Ben Affleck, or maybe Casey Affleck, because those are his friends. But like, if Matt Damon has an interesting movie he writes and wants Gus Van Sant to direct, I guess it'll happen.
This Private Idaho could have been Matt Damon and Ben Affleck.
It absolutely could have been, and it's interesting that it's I think they're a little bit younger, right?
Yeah.
So Keanu Reeves
is kind of pre them
is
breaking out.
61.
Yeah.
I did Ben Affleck turn 60 last year?
I don't think so. I think they're like mid-50s.
It'll take me just a moment to find out. So Matt Damon's definitely in his mid-50s. Matt Damon is currently 55, and Ben Affleck is 53. Oh, wow.
Ooh.
I did not know he was the younger of the two.
Yeah.
God, it's crazy. He looks so much older than Matt Damon. I guess he's let himself go grey.
What the old divorces do to you.
The beard and the divorce. Although Matt Damon's had a beard for a while now.
Yeah, he's looking kind of chiseled.
Yeah. You're right. It could have been the two of them. Which role would each of them have been in?
I was trying to think. I guess at the time, Damon was the more polished kind of slick back, rich kid hair.
But I swear to God, I think Ben is coded older. I think Ben has to play the Keanu role.
You think so?
I don't think Ben can play younger than Damon, even though he is. He just has a more maturity to him.
I didn't think there was an age dynamic with these two boys here. They're both like 21.
There's not an age dynamic, but the polished that you're talking about. I think
that is Keanu Reeves' parents in this are really rich, and
Yes,
he
I know.
is slumming around
Yeah.
until he gets his inheritance when his dad dies. That's his whole character arc
Okay, but
here.
Keanu Reeves is 6 years older than River Phoenix.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
River Phoenix is horrifyingly young in this movie.
Yeah, I feel like when Keanu Reeves is
21.
introduced, he's in like a school jacket.
Yeah, maybe.
So
he's introduced, basically, River Phoenix's character. The movie starts, and he's a male prostitute who's basically kind of... How does he meet his first client?
She just picks him off outside the
he's
street.
outside the street, yeah.
Sorry, well, like we should go back to the very first scene, which is him standing on a empty road in what I assume is Idaho.
You'd assume.
Completely like flat land, like just mountains in the distance, complete barren landscape. He's just kind of having a bit of a monologue. Mm-hmm. That then cuts to him with seemingly a client.
Yes.
Who was a kind of a funny man in his 50s.
A very funny man. I need to identify who this funny man is.
The funny man is performing certain acts on River Phoenix.
Yeah.
Which leads to a very fun moment of... The conclusion of that event is marked by a barn, a wooden barn falling from a height onto the road in Idaho and smashing into pieces.
Yes, we cut away to this at the exact moment that the climax is occurring. Yeah. What's another film I saw in the last year?
Oh, we need to make a list of all the...
There was a film we saw where there was a sex scene that was cutting back and forth to like construction equipment.
Yes, was it Naked Gun?
Yeah, it was Naked Gun.
Yeah.
That was so good. It's so good. No, I think this film, because I'll forget to say it later, I think this film is one of the cleverest, wittiest, and most engaging depictions of sex I've ever seen in a film. The sex scenes in the latter part of the film, including some which are, a lot of them are gay, and there's a sort of three situation with Udo Kier and the two boys, and then there's straight stuff with Keanu and his female partner. They have a series of shots where the actors are suspended in...
They're
frozen in time. Yep. But it's not a still image. The camera is running, but they're just they're standing very still, or they're crouching
in
motionless,
a specific position.
And we cut for maybe 5 or 6 3-second shots of them suspended in position, showing them doing various angles and acts with each other.
And like you can see the very, very tiny movement of the camera and of the people, because it's not a still image, and it's really, really good. You get such a picture of what's going on.
So good. But yeah, the first client he has is so funny. Is it Daddy Carroll? Is that who he is? Mickey Cottrell? I want to credit the actor, but a lot of these guys don't have pictures.
Maybe.
Could be. He's so good, and he's got a really funny voice.
River Phoenix, he goes in and sits in the toilet, and River Phoenix is like at the base of the door being like, "Can I have some money, please?
Yes. He's like, $10, and your man's like, oh, sorry, there's two guys. There's the funny little high-pitched voice guy, and then there's like the big guy who looks like something out of Marty Supreme.
Oh.
Anyway.
Sure.
He's back out on the street then, and there's a very kind of classy, wealthier woman who comes and picks him up. And she brings him home, and he is brought into her living room where Keanu Reeves is sitting down. And he's like...
And a third guy.
And he's like, oh, hiya, pal. And she's like, oh, you guys already know each other. And I'm like, oh, what's going on here? Are these guys brothers or something? Sorry, the funny other gay man dresses him up as a little sailor.
Oh, yes.
And starts doing Dutch boy, Daddy Carroll.
He does.
That's who I was
Sorry,
talking
he
about.
dressed him as a sailor and asked him to clean his apartment.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. This woman who picks him up is Grace Zabriskie from Twin Peaks and other Lynch stuff. And yeah, Keanu is basically in the house, and turns out these guys are friends, they're colleagues, and their paths cross because, like in this situation, the woman...
They're just hired simultaneously.
She clearly has enough money to just... They say, oh, she just brings 3 guys over because it takes her a while to warm up or whatever.
Yeah.
So she's just like got the cash to do this. And he has one of his narcolepsy incidents, and they basically have to like drag him out onto the lawn outside and all this. He has to get a lift back into the city. And
they put him in like a little park. Real, was it Dartmouth Square type?
Yes. Exactly, yeah.
Type square. And yeah, he wakes up the following morning and tries to get back into town, where he meets Udo Kier. Yeah. And Udo Kier is like, oh, I recognize you, or you know such and such, or whatever.
Yes.
And he ends up getting a lift back into...
And Udo Kier is like not really that creepy. He's kind of just like... He's just like very...
is he?
German guy, but he's not like sleazy. Sorry, I'm kind of flipping through the film here. We've skipped the scene where all of the boys are on the covers of magazines having a conversation.
Yeah,
which I don't know how I felt about that in the moment. I was like, I'm glad there's only 2 minutes of this because it would get annoying. But there's like a shelf of pornographic magazines, and one of the characters is on every cover of a magazine, and they're all having a conversation on the shelf.
Sorry, this is where the boys hang out when they're waiting to get picked up on the side of the street. They kind of hang outside the porn store.
Sure. So Van Sant is like visualizing this as a magazine shelf.
Yeah.
There's a scene where the boys go to a diner or a Chinese restaurant, and then there's like kind of a montage of conversations with other guys that they know, who all have incredible faces and look like they just walked out of a Linklater movie in the 90s. Yeah. There's just guys with like big teeth, long shaggy hair, like mouths hanging open, and they're all
really kind of charming, likable faces to them.
Really
and
charming.
They start telling these stories about
being
what was
I think basically
I think they say like, oh, what was your first job like?
Yeah.
And some of them were like, I was assaulted and I didn't want to be there, or
like I had to pay the guy back the money, but there was nobody there to give him the money, so I had to go back inside and all this. Scott Patrick Green, Sean Jordan are two of the actors in this scene, and they great vibes, great faces. That's really entertaining. Like the film is just moving around it's navigating the world that these guys operate in a really exciting way. I feel like where you're getting to see all these different perspectives on how they live and how they work, and I love that. I love a film.
No, there's really in-depth kind of building out of the world they're in.
Yeah,
through the way they just kind of drop random people in to have a chat for a while.
Something I love is when a film has someone with a really specific job that you don't see in films that often, and I don't think there are that many films about male sex work. Like, and I think I talked on the Richard Gere episode about American Gigolo, which doesn't do any of this, where he's doing this work, but it's really boring and it doesn't show it in an interesting way. But I love when a film has someone with a really specific job, and then it's like, what would their day at work be like?
Yeah.
And like, what's the staff canteen equivalent for this career?
The inner workings of the clown company.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I love just like, what kind of conversations do these guys have with their colleagues and their peers? And it's great.
Yeah.
What's the HR situation? So there is about half an hour in, Bob is introduced, and Bob is a very
Galway coded,
but he's very Shakespearean and very Dickensian, and he's a bit of like a Fagin and Oliver Twist, and he's like,
I just see any sort of crusty fella, I'm like, Galway.
Sure. He's like a big, loud, homeless guy who's also like their fucking main drug guy, I guess.
He's like a lot older than anyone that hangs around with him.
He's a middle-aged guy. He's clearly got access to a lot of drugs, and he kind of runs this abandoned hotel.
He's kind of a pimp, is he?
He's kind of a pimp. He doesn't seem like, from what we see on screen, he doesn't seem like the most sexually exploitative version of this
I have no idea
guy.
if he's kind of pitching his boys out to people.
He's definitely sleeping with some of the boys. I think him and Keanu Reeves seem to have a bit of a relationship, and Keanu Reeves maybe is his favorite of his boys. He's played by this guy who I'm not familiar with called William Rickert. But like, he looked so familiar. I was like, this could have been like one of the Baldwin brothers or Bob Hoskins. I thought it might be. And it's weird that it's not like a famous actor, because it looks, and he talks and looks like a famous actor. I guess he's just like a guy who's really good at like this big performance Shakespearean stuff. He was in a WGA arbitration with Aaron Sorkin over the American president. He claimed that Aaron Sorkin stole his idea for a 1981 script called The President Elopes, and he got fucked by the WGA, and Aaron Sorkin got full credit and all of this. And then he sued the DGA later, and he died in 2022. And he only has about 4 acting credits and like 1 writing credit. Sorry, 2 acting credits.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy. But he's great in this, and he's got real fucking commanding presence. He's great. So then the movie slips into Shakespeare mode for like half an hour.
They go and try and do a kind of a performance in the park.
Yeah,
thing.
and there's a robbery, and then there's like a prank fake robbery, and they're wearing masks and they're jumping around, and it's very like
it's full on like on stage Shakespeare type thing.
It's also very Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet for a while, where they're kind of talking and acting in Shakespeare ways, but they're like, we've got guns and we're in a modern city, so it's very bad.
No, I wasn't
into this.
Overly into this when it was happening.
No,
But
neither was I.
I think in the context, like Bob returns later, and they return back to the hotel.
I like
and
that
I think
better,
it kind of it pieces it all together a little bit better.
The hotel gets raided by the police. Yeah. And they burst in on Keanu and River pretending to be in the middle of sex. and it's one of a guy who. Sorry, we learn at this point that Keanu's dad is the mayor.
Yes.
And obviously, this is based on some shit in the Shakespeare where it's the
king's son,
the king
like.
or whatever. So he's basically like, your father wants to speak to you, and he's like, tell my dad he can kiss my ass or whatever.
Yeah.
But then clearly Keanu is like choosing to live this pauper's lifestyle to piss off his father, whereas River Phoenix is like doing this because he's desperate and he doesn't speak to his parents and all this.
Yeah.
But he's having all these flashbacks to his mother, and he's like, I think I know who my mother is. We need to go find my mother. Halfway point of the movie, they basically run away out to the desert on a motorbike looking for River Phoenix's
They meet
mother.
his brother, I guess, for a little bit.
Yeah, there's a camping element to it, and River Phoenix is like kind of telling Keanu that he's in love with him, and Keanu's like, friendship's great. Isn't it great to be friends?
Yeah.
I love to be friends. And River's like, this fucking sucks. I'm so miserable.
I didn't fully, I guess, kind of lock in on that scene at the time because I was a bit like, it was in a bit of a lull.
Sure.
But kind of thinking back at it now,
real
it's
bummer
a
of a scene.
real
Really
bummer,
sad.
right? And a lot of people were kind of citing it then as the main scene.
Look,
of the film.
everything is
Yeah.
sad involving River Phoenix because he died so soon after this movie came out. It's like it's very similar to watching Heath and Jake in Brokeback Mountain.
Oh, yes.
It's so similar.
Yeah.
You're like, one of these guys is like sensitive fucking young guy, and like he died right after the film, and then the other guy is like still a huge movie star in a really heterosexual macho way, where it just bums me out that I'm like, and I thought that I don't want Keanu Reeves or Jake Gyllenhaal to not have had the success and the healthy lives they've had. But it's just kind of sad that like Heath Ledger and River Phoenix were obviously the more interesting actors in both of these cases and didn't get to achieve their potential. And the other guy has kind of squandered his potential and ended up being not very interesting. Sure. And much more so with Keanu than with Jake. But I'm just like, oh man, we could have had so many great River Phoenix movies, and now we have John Wick 4. Anyway. There's a great scene where Keanu gets stopped on the side of the road by the cop who's like a Native American cop, and he's like helping him to fix his bike and stuff. All that stuff's great. So they're with the brother for a while. Then they basically go back to Udo Kier, and we have our great kind of weird sex scene with them. And then they go to Italy. And I didn't think this movie was going to end up in Italy. And that was such a treat. What an absolute delight. And they go to Italy, and they basically are in Rome, and they go out to drive out to the countryside.
They meet like their equivalents of Rome.
Yes, they do.
They're the Italian boys who hang around the Colosseum.
Exactly. The little tiny version of them. And then they go out to the countryside to a farmhouse, and they meet this incredibly beautiful Italian woman played by Chiara Caselli. And she is immediately clearly smitten with Keanu Reeves. And you're like, I guess Keanu Reeves is into women as well. And then River Phoenix basically gets cucked by this Italian woman, and the next 20 minutes of the movie is her and Keanu Reeves falling for each other. And
it's kind of him sitting, lying in his bed, listening to them in the other room.
Copulating next door, and he's like, oh, fuck this. I just told this guy I love him an hour ago, and now he's with this Italian woman. Awful stuff. Horrible stuff. Why is Keanu Reeves doing this in front of his pal?
Keanu Reeves is then kind of like...
so mean.
Either he's like, buddy, you got to go, or the two of us are heading off. Like, you're on your own.
Yeah. So he's like, you can come back to the city with us or whatever. And basically they fuck off. They leave him out there. He does make his way back to the US.
I think they fly to either LA or Portland. I can't remember.
I think most of this takes place in Portland.
Yeah.
The city stuff. There's this great scene that you love where he's on the side of the street with Bob, and this fucking guy who knows Bob comes up in this awful red jacket, and Bob goes, you'll have to stay away. I might catch this awful disease you appear to have. My jacket would grow little zippers all over it, and my toes would have jingle bells on them like those dirtiest shoes with little fucking bells on them.
Fucking fantastic insult.
Flea is hanging out with them.
He is.
It's Bob and River and Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who is still acting today, and he's in Star Wars, and he's in Baby Driver and stuff.
He's in one of the David Lynch's, isn't he?
He might be, yeah.
He's a man in a suit and something.
He's got a great face. I'd kind of rather he stick to the acting and not make shitty music, to be honest. Bob and River walk into a private party where I think it's the funeral of Keanu's father. His father has just died.
Bob also dies. Bob and Keanu's father die simultaneously.
Well, Bob hasn't died yet. Okay. No, Bob confronts Keanu Reeves at the party. Udo Kier is also there for some reason.
But that's not, that party is Keanu Reeves' return to kind of public life.
Exactly. And everyone's like, everyone's like, oh, good to see you back on your feet. Basically, he's now married to the Italian woman. They're both all glammed up. He has left the life of debauchery behind and is now a fancy city man. And people are like, I'm so sorry your father's died. And he's acting like Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. Oh, he is. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Bob confronts him and is humiliated and is kicked out of the party. And then Bob dies in the next scene.
Yeah.
And Bob's got a great death scene. And then they have a funeral for Bob and they say Scott broke his heart. And Bob has basically just like,
But I think Bob's funeral happens adjacent to Keanu Reeves'
yes,
father's
they have
funeral.
it right beside each other.
Yeah.
So Keanu Reeves' father's having this very pious statesman funeral.
Yeah.
And then right beside them, all of the
Just down a
hoodlums
little hill
are yelping
in
and
the woods.
screaming at Bob's funeral.
And they've got
just
an accordion.
playing an
and,
accordion and apartment for sale and causing an absolute
and
ruckus.
Screaming and... which funeral would you rather be at?
Exactly. Like? And that's basically the end of the movie. And then River Phoenix is out in the middle of the road, collapses, asleep.
Yeah.
And you see bandits stop and rob him.
Yeah.
And there's a shot from very far away of a car pulling up, a guy getting out,
dragging him
into the car. And it is unclear, but it is often theorized that is meant to be Keanu Reeves' character who does that.
Oh.
It's left vague.
Yeah.
There's 2 Irish music things in this movie worth referencing. There is a Sinead O'Connor reference in the first half.
They do. They ask, did you go to the Sinead O'Connor gig? Or
So
something,
weird.
Something like that.
And then the end credit song is by the Pogues.
Yeah.
So there you go. I feel like we haven't talked about a film like this in this podcast before.
In what sense?
Just just go through it scene by scene.
Yeah, well, you don't usually have it up in front of you.
It was worth doing. I think this is worth doing.
It probably is, yeah. We like it's been 3 weeks since we saw it.
Exactly, yeah. I think normally we watch the movie like 2 days before.
Sorry,
That's the difference. 2 weeks.
It's been 11 days.
Well, it feels like much longer.
Yeah, it has
been a long month.
It has been a long month.
Clocks haven't gone forward yet.
Tonight though.
So that's I thought it was great. Now, friend of the show, Brendan Fernando Kelly Palenque, 1 star. Hated this film.
Yeah.
Don't understand what's going on there. I'm going over to see him next week.
You'll
I'll
interrogate him.
I'm going to interrogate him. I don't know what's going on there. I think this is so good. It's so thoughtful. It also ticks so many boxes of what Brendan normally likes in a film.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there. But Brendan is a scholar of gay cinema in a way that you and I are not, and has seen hundreds of films like this. So
was this on his? I assume this was on his list at some point
for sure.
Because what did he do? The top 250 gay films.
The top 250 gay films.
Yeah.
I lived with him for the first half of this project,
yeah,
which led to me getting to watch wonderful films like Chuck and Buck,
and
shit like this.
I assume this is in the top 30 or 40.
This is probably in the top 5. Like, as in, like, the top 5 is, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Call Me By Your Name, Moonlight, Brokeback Mountain, probably. The bottom 50 was, like, fucking, GBF, Gay Best Friend, like, just absolute teen movies and shite and independent films in the 90s that people have forgotten for good reason. Anyway, River Phoenix dies 2 years after this movie. And just has such a short career. It's nuts. I don't see the similarities between him and his brother. I don't know. You say you do. I can't see a single trace of his brother in his face.
I thought I could see a bit around the mouth, like maybe in the eyes.
I don't know. It's crazy. I don't see it. I went back and watched Joaquin's Oscar speech, and he finished his great Oscar speech, and he spends half of it talking about the cruelties of the slaughterhouse industry, and then at the end of it he's like, my brother wrote a poem once, and he reads it out, and it's heartbreaking stuff, and he's like on the verge of tears, and he named his first baby River, with Rooney Mara. So he's clearly still really shaken by this, like, because I guess River was famous before he was, and was the oldest brother. And
was River Phoenix gay in real life?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I think he had a real relationship with Martha Plimpton, maybe, who he played opposite in both Mosquito Coast and in Running on Empty. Let me have a look. Personal life. He began a romance with his co-star Martha Plimpton when he was 15. They had met a year earlier, but disliked each other. And then they were in Running on Empty, and they split up because of his drug use. They remained close friends until his death. She later said, I learned that he wasn't going to change. He had to change himself. He didn't want to yet. He was not a regular drug user. He dated Samantha Mathis in 1993, and she was with him on the night that he died. God. Yeah. Samantha Mathis, what's she up to now? Billions. The Punisher. I haven't seen her in anything. She was in the original Punisher. I haven't seen her in a long time. No, he wasn't gay in real life. And Keanu certainly wasn't. Isn't. But, Yeah, Phoenix was like his brother, a vegan, a PETA spokesperson. Like the Phoenix family are extremely passionate about the environment and animal welfare and stuff.
Doesn't want to play a gay character in a movie though.
Joaquin, I know, isn't that interesting? Like,
maybe there was
we don't know.
something
We
on
don't know
there.
the
We don't
reasons
know
for
what
that.
story was.
Like I think it's interesting because
it was a Todd Haynes thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. You would think that if it was something different, he would have made that known, because people are all assuming now that it was a gay thing.
Yeah.
So if he wanted people to not think he had an issue with that, I would. And he was asked at Venice about it, and he was like, "I don't want to talk about it."
Yeah.
Surely he would have been like, "It wasn't the gay issue. It was an issue I had with this."
Has he gone? Is he back on the project, or has he been replaced?
No, Pedro Pascal's doing it now.
Oh, Pedro's doing it.
Yeah, that's quite a downgrade.
No,
but I mean, if it's good, I mean,
sure.
People would be lining up to give Pedro Pascal an Oscar nomination if they could.
Oh, for sure.
He's making everyone so much money. So like,
look, I'm willing to let anyone give a good performance.
It's me too. It's just a pity because I feel like a Todd Haynes Joaquin Phoenix movie would have been most anticipated of the year material, and now it's like, maybe that'll be good. I don't know, but River I think his first proper film is Explorers, which is Ethan Hawke and him. And I watched this the other day. It's a Joe Dante movie, and it's E.T. light.
Right.
And it's basically, he's a little science nerd, and Ethan Hawke is like his cool friend. Ethan Hawke is adorable in this film. He's like 14, and he looks exactly like he looks now, and it's insane. And he's just like a little 14-year-old, and he's like, I love exploring. And River Phoenix is the child of German scientists, played by James Cromwell and Dana Ivey, doing German accents. And he's like, what's his character's really funny name? Wolfgang Muller. Okay. And he's like, I've built this machine that can create magic spheres and shit. And then they go up in a rocket ship and they meet weird aliens who only talk like American television characters. Yeah. It's fun when that side of it kicks in, but I found it dragged up to that point. But it's Joe Dante, who I really like as a filmmaker, and I definitely like more than Spielberg, but it is just a little bit E.T. for most of it. It's suburban kid sci-fi, but he's very good in it. And then Stand By Me, I've never liked Stand By Me. I know that's kind of an illegal opinion to have. That is a beloved film.
I haven't seen it.
It's based on a Stephen King story. Generally not a... we're going to talk about Shawshank soon on the show, but generally based on a Stephen King story is not the starting point for a good film, in my opinion. But the kids in that are Will Wheaton, him, Corey Feldman, and Jerry O'Connell, and the other three all came out at the Oscars last week for the Rob Reiner tribute, which is kind of a sad reminder that River Phoenix is like the one that's been dead for so long. Then there's The Mosquito Coast, where he plays Harrison Ford's son. This is them. They go out, they live in the jungle basically, because Harrison Ford lies to his family and says America has been nuked and that they have to live in the jungle. It's Peter Weir. I watched it the other day. I wasn't mad on it. River Phoenix barely registers in it. Like him and Martha Plimpton are in it as kids, but they don't do a whole lot. They remade it for Apple as a show with Justin Theroux a couple of years ago, which was equally not interesting.
They did.
That's that
Jesus,
thing.
Yeah.
I haven't seen
how much. What did that run for? Like 8 episodes and call it quits?
Two seasons.
It ran for 2 seasons.
2 seasons, yeah.
No way.
Who played the wife on that show? I don't remember. Was it Muriel Enos? Was it Miranda Otto? I do not remember.
Or his counterparts.
The correct answer was, it was Melissa George from The Slap.
Oh, yeah.
But he's reunited with Martha Plimpton in Sidney Lumet's Running on Empty, which I really like, which is kind of a proto One Battle After Another, because it's a movie about revolutionaries from the Weather Underground.
Did you say this is based on Vineland as well?
No. I think Violent. I don't know when Violent came out, but no, it's not based on Violent. Okay. It's just based on a similar setup where these revolutionaries who basically blew up, like a weapons plant or something. Okay. They've gone into hiding with their kids. So it's like a family unit on the run as revolutionaries. And River Phoenix meets Martha Plimpton when he's in school and he's going out with her. And then the family's like, we got to move on. We got to keep moving. And he's like, I don't want to move. I love my girlfriend. And they're like, at the end of the movie, basically, okay, you can stay and we'll leave without you. And it's very touching. And they play Fire and Rain they all stand around singing along to Fire and Rain by James Taylor, which is really nice. It's good. And it's Lumet and it's worth watching. And Judd Hirsch is the father. And I quite liked it. And it's an interesting parallel to One Battle. He plays he's played Harrison Ford's son already. And then he plays young Indiana Jones in the opening prologue sequence of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
That's funny.
Which is just like a mini short film, the first 20 20 minutes of like him when he was a teenager, played by River Phoenix, and then it cuts forward to the present day. Kind of just Spielberg being like, I can't get this film to 2 hours. Let me put a 15-minute prologue. Sure. They pull the same shit on the Mangold movie in 2023, where the first 25 minutes of that film is like de-aged Harrison Ford in the past. I hated that. And that was a real reminder of like, we used to have River Phoenix and now we have AI. Like, fuck this. My Own Private Idaho comes out the same year as a film called Dogfight, which is Nancy Savoca film that I watched the other day. Edited by the father of friend of the show, Ray Tintori, John Tintori. This is a movie where River Phoenix plays a soldier who's part of a little dare, a little competition with his military pals, that they're going to find the ugliest girl to bring to the dance. And he finds this girl played by Lily Taylor, who works in a diner with her mother, who's by no means ugly, but is kind of, unusual looking. Some of the girls that are brought to the dance have like no teeth and, are like properly like, have kind of issues. She's just kind of unusual looking. And he brings her to the dance. About 30 minutes into the film, she finds out what the deal is. Yeah. And then the rest of the film is him basically having to like charm her for real to win her back. The film just kind of turns into a bit of a generic romance and doesn't really interrogate. Is it
a comedy up to that point? Like, it's
just kind of an uncomfortable. It's just like an uncomfortable. It's a weird film. It's like you're kind of uncomfortable watching him exploit this woman, and then the game is up, and then the rest of the film is you just kind of learning to be charmed by him again. But I don't think he necessarily addresses head on the error of his ways, or the film doesn't really confront the like kind of inherent misogyny that was there at the start. It's obviously aware of it, but it doesn't really confront it. It's kind of just a generic romance about a soldier and a girl with one night to hang out. I didn't love it, but it's interesting. And then, Jesus, River Phoenix is now we're up to 91, and after Dogfight, it's Sneakers with Robert Redford and Sidney Poitier. He's the young guy in that. He's in Silent Tongue, The Thing Called Love. Dark Blood comes out in 2012. Is that something that was never released at the time? Yeah, filmed in 1993, but never completed due to River Phoenix's death. So they finished it, obviously, or something, and they released it in 2012. And that was his last film. Jonathan Pryce and Judy Davis are in that. Yeah. So he was obviously in the middle of filming that when he died. So yeah, he's in like 10 movies, and he dies in 1993. Awful stuff.
Terrible.
Like,
he was working with cool people.
He was working with cool people. It was fucking insane. He made a movie with Peter Weir, Joe Dante, Spielberg, Lumet, Rob Reiner, Gus Van Sant, worked with Robert Redford. Insane. And then he died. Just crazy. Yeah. Thank God for Keanu Reeves still being alive. We got wonderful movies like
you're being very harsh to Keanu Reeves.
Ballerina and
he's a nice guy by all accounts.
A nice guy by all accounts. I think I'm on the record as not liking Keanu Reeves very much. And to be honest, you can tell because we've gotten to 115 episodes of a podcast and not discussed him. And I think that says something about how I feel about him, because he's in a lot of boy party movies. Yeah, and he's a big guy for the two-handers and the fucking star vehicles, and yet I have a real blind spot from where like the 5 probably most well-known films he's in. I haven't seen any of them. Yeah. You could probably say the same for Harrison Ford, though, couldn't you?
Yes, but then again, this is why we're doing these guys in the hundreds.
Yeah, I know.
Unfortunately,
exactly.
Like I haven't. What is it? I haven't seen The Matrix. I haven't seen
Point Break,
Crash.
He's not in Crash.
Not Crash. Speed.
John Wick.
Bill and Ted.
John Wick. Yeah, you've just named all his biggest movies, basically. Yeah. I don't like any of them. I know it's, again, another illegal opinion to say that The Matrix isn't good, but like, guys, come on now. Come on. Like, The Matrix is good if you like guns, sure. Yeah. If you like guns and you're interested in like the philosophy of technology and computing, like, I don't know. I know that the trans reading of it is a whole other reason why people love it. And obviously, the Matrix movies really speak to people who have experienced gender dysphoria and all that kind of thing. And it's coming from the Wachowski's own experience there. 100% on board with that. I find those movies borderline unwatchable. Yeah. I've seen the first Matrix 3 times. I've enjoyed it less every time. Yeah. It is so long. It is so full of guns and like shitty slow-mo gunfights and just like, okay, guys, I get it. You think guns are cool. So what? And Keanu Reeves is like an absolute fucking like cheese sandwich of a leading man. Really not great.
Yeah, Lucien unfortunately walks around the house with the TV remotes tied to his hand like the nuclear football. So I only get to watch things that he thinks are good, which should not include the Keanu Reeves films.
Bill and Ted's fine. It's fine. Like, it's real fucking chuggy Gen
Did they
X
remake that
humor.
last year or 2 years ago? Or
They did
3
a
years ago?
threequel in 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
I saw it. It wasn't good. He's Steve Martin's son in the Parenthood movie, and him and River Phoenix are both in I Love You to Death with Kevin Kline. Actually, immediately same year as Private Idaho, he's in Point Break, where he is, joins a surfer gang to infiltrate a bank robbery with Patrick Swayze. I hadn't seen Point Break until last weekend, and it was okay. There is 2 very cool skydiving scenes. And there's a bit of homoeroticism between him and Patrick Swayze that I did enjoy, but I don't like Patrick Swayze. I think he's not an interesting screen presence at all, and I thought Point Break was just fine. He's in Coppola's Dracula with Gary Oldman, which is great, and he's very, very good in that. And that's one of the more interesting roles he's ever had, I would say. Speed is good. Speed works. It's ultimately, a movie that kind of lives and dies by the stunts and the action and the bus. And Sandra Bullock has great fucking charisma in that. Him and Sandra Bullock probably have the closest thing resembling chemistry that he's had with any actress. I find him so stiff that I really don't think he has any great fucking sizzling, romance with any woman.
Yeah.
But if it had to be anyone I'd put him in a movie with, it would be Sandra Bullock, and they've worked together a few times. The Matrix obviously pivots him kind of from romance man to action man, and then he's in a lot of other shit like that.
He's of course the tumbleweed in SpongeBob.
He is the tumbleweed in SpongeBob. Or what is he? He's a, what do they call him? He's not a tumbleweed. He's a sage. He's a sage.
Sure.
Because he's a sage of wisdom as well.
Yeah.
They do the 2 Matrix sequels. Then he's in Something's Gotta Give, which I guess is the last movie he's ever in that he's not on the poster, where he's a supporting role to Jack and Diane. Him and Amanda Peet are like the sub romance in that. He does Richard Linklater's animated movie A Scanner Darkly, which I've never seen. Constantine, they're constantly threatening to make a sequel to that. Reunites with Sandra Bullock in The Lake House. His name above the title in The Day the Earth Stood Still, which was an attempt to, I guess, reignite his presence as a sci-fi leading man, but he plays like a hollow alien man in that film. Really doesn't contribute much. Rebecca Miller puts him in The Private Lives of Pippa Lee with Robin Wright, which is not a good film in my opinion, but has a really interesting cast, but no, it doesn't work. Then there's a lot of action shit. There's this whole other interesting side to him, which is that he's like part Japanese, I guess. And he really started to lean into that, where he makes Man of Tai Chi, which he directs, and then he produces and stars in 47 Ronin. And these are based on like traditional Asian mythology. And he's really like, I'm going to become like a samurai guy. And I think it's just a little bit too late for that to work at that point. So John Wick comes at just the right time for him in 2014. People love those movies. I feel like the first one was kind of a sleeper hit, and then the second one was like a
Are they
proper hit.
like comic graphic novel type adaptations, or are they?
They feel like they are, but I actually don't think so. I think they're original films. And John Wick is, it must be said, one of the most influential movies of the last 15 years, because it has literally inspired basically all action filmmaking since. I mean, I think Bourne had its period where it was influencing everyone, and then John Wick came along. And the guys who made John Wick, David Leitch and Chad Stahelski, have obviously now directed bits and pieces of other franchises. David Leitch did Hobbs and Shaw, he did Atomic Blonde, he did Fall Guy, he did, Deadpool 2. So they have now wormed their way into Marvel and into Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
I think that the only person who is ignoring John Wick and is not trying to copy it is Tom Cruise, because he knows he's better than John Wick. And Tom Cruise would never lower himself to shit as boring as John Wick.
Yeah, also like the Mission Impossibles with the various directors is a bit more scattered.
Exactly,
so it's harder
yeah.
to kind of have a coherent...
Yeah, but the John Wick movies are all about like hand-to-hand fighting, and there's like a lot of mythology in them about like this assassin
Like, are they
network.
influenced by like The Raid and that kind of...
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. A little bit more like Kung Fu.
Or
influence
was it
in them.
Is it Old Boy?
Yeah, it's a bit of Old Boys, a bit of Kill Bill and Tarantino, who himself is obviously influenced by old Kung Fu movies. Yeah. They don't interest me at all. They're really cheap feeling as well. Like, they're Lionsgate films. The supporting casts in them are really lacking. Like,
did John Wick 4 have like the Mission Impossible Fallout font, or was it just in Paris?
No, it has the Mission Impossible Fallout font. He's standing in front of the Eiffel Tower, and it has like the exact same font. You're right.
Yeah.
The casts on those movies start off really kind of low res. Like Lance Reddick, Ian McShane. They get a little bit better. I mean, by the time they're in the fourth one, you've got Lawrence Fishburne. They basically bring back the entire cast of The Matrix. Yeah. Lawrence Fishburne, Bill Skarsgård. Rina Sawayama, the singer, is in that one.
Huh.
Halle Berry was in one of them, I think. I think, or am I thinking of? I can't remember. They're so uninteresting to me. He's in the Key and Peele movie Keanu, where there's a cat called Keanu, and Keanu Reeves shows up in it. Isn't that funny? Isn't that class? John Wick has taken up a lot of his time in the last 10 years, probably for the best.
He does kind of exist on the actors who are known probably by their first name better than their.
He does. He is the only Keanu in the world. Like
a little bit.
Matrix Resurrections is a catastrophe. He's in the Sonic movies now as the voice of Shadow, and then he played the Angel Gabriel in the Seth Rogen Aziz Ansari film Good Fortune. Which
do you know what he's doing? He's fucking convention maxing.
Yeah, he is, exactly. He's dipping his toe into as many franchises.
He can show up to as many conventions as possible.
I don't think he does conventions though.
He can show up to the fucking SpongeBob convention.
I know.
If he wants.
You know what he weirdly does? He does an awful lot of theater.
Really?
He loves.
Oh, sorry. He was on. Yeah,
he was doing Godot. He was doing Waiting for Godot on Broadway with Alex Winter from Bill and Ted.
Yes, I was in New York there.
Yeah, which was a funny gimmick. I mean, that'd be like having Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels doing a serious play. It's oh, they got the silly guys to do a real piece of theater. He loves theater. He's always doing theater, and I think he takes himself real seriously. He's Canadian.
Has he ever won a Tony?
I don't know. He's never gotten an Oscar nomination.
Yeah.
And fine. No, he doesn't need one. He doesn't deserve an Oscar nomination. I loved on Private Idaho. I wouldn't give him a supporting actor nomination. I would give Bob a supporting actor nomination. I don't think Keanu Reeves is doing anything in this movie that Ethan Hawke wouldn't do better, unfortunately. He's just a kind of a less interesting mix of Tom Cruise and Ethan Hawke to me. I don't know.
I think he's got a great smooth face that suits this perfectly because he's amongst a bunch of the least smooth faces.
Yeah.
Around
now, on the Oscar front, he is about to star in what's his name? Ruben Östlund's new movie, the guy who did Triangle of Sadness.
Okay.
He is about to star in his new film, The Entertainment System is Down, which is about a plane full of obnoxious rich people that the entertainment system goes down and then they all start fighting with each other or something. Him and Kirsten Dunst are the leads of it. Okay. It sounds genuinely dreadful to me, but it does seem like something that will probably get a Best Picture nomination. And if it exists on the kind of spectrum of Don't Look Up to Triangle of Sadness, you could imagine Keanu Reeves being they push him really hard. They're like, you all love Keanu Reeves. He's made you so much money. And they're like, okay, you worked with a European auteur. Best Actor nomination for you. I don't know. That's all I have to say about him. Would you do the box office?
Absolutely. What?
1991. Okay. Sorry, is Pretty Woman also from 1991? Are we doing back-to-back 1991 movies?
Well, we will see when I get to the box office.
I think we are. Do the weekend instead of the year, because we've done the year.
Yeah.
I couldn't find...
Are you going to be getting the week? Yeah, I guess you will.
Yeah. I couldn't find anyone interesting who's ever named this in their Letterboxd top 4, which I'm very surprised by. I thought as kind of a seminal gay film that there would be a lot of young Hollywood types who would be like, oh, I'm so inspired by that film. But no, there was a couple of random musicians and people I've never heard of. So... I don't know. Not as influential as you'd think. When does this come out?
I'll
give you time to look it up. This comes out it premieres at the Venice Film Festival September 4th, 1991, and it was released in the United States on September 29th, 1991. Budget $2.5 million, grossed $8 million based on the US and UK. All right.
First up is a scary item of clothing.
The jacket.
No.
A scary item of clothing. What's a scary item of clothing?
That is a trick clue.
That's a trick clue.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's the something.
No.
I don't know.
There's a
scary item of clothing.
There's a Martin Scorsese film.
Oh. In 1991.
It's a trick question.
Oh, I'm so stupid. 1991. So this is not Goodfellas. It's the next one after Goodfellas. It's 1991 Martin Scorsese film.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm blanking so hard. Is De Niro in it?
Yeah. He's the lead.
Casino. Raging Bull.
No.
What? Oh my God, I'm going insane.
Nick Nolte.
Oh. Cape Fear.
Yeah.
Oh, aren't you clever?
Am I clever?
Do you know who's about to be in the Cape Fear Apple TV show?
No.
Javier Bardem,
Okay.
Amy Adams, Patrick Wilson,
Okay. That's
and the
a
girl
game.
from Good One. I'm excited for it. Yeah. Cape Fear. The original Cape Fear is so much better. Myself and Sonia watched them back to back.
What's the original?
It's Gregory Peck and Robert Mitchum.
Oh.
It's so good. We could do that on the show. It's really good.
Next
Ian?
up,
Yeah.
we've got a Jim Belushi film. Sorry, we have got a Steve Carell credit in 1991.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
He is number 5 on the list
He must
here.
have been like in his 20s. Okay, that's crazy. I don't think I'm going to know what this is, to be honest with you. Jim Belushi film.
Jim Belushi, Alison Porter,
No, I don't know.
Kelly Lynch. This is Carly Sue.
Curly Sue.
Curly Sue, sorry.
Yeah, I know the poster. It's like a little child.
Little child.
It's a funny little child.
They're eating corn.
I didn't know that Jim Belushi was in that. That
A
was
funny story about a family and the little girl who started it.
that's a real VHS tape they used to sell in Eason's, I feel like.
A little bit. Steve Carell's a funny pull in that.
I always mix that up with The Little Rascals.
Sure.
Those are films I would have expected to be shown in primary school on a rainy day, but never was. Isn't that weird when you're in school, they just put on a film on a rainy day when you can't go outside
Was that
at lunchtime?
is that what that was?
Well, that used to
Primary school.
Yeah, we used to do that.
Oh.
Our school was tiny, so we had nowhere to go. We were kind of trapped.
I
Like
can't really remember. I think they used to let us into the sports hall or something. I actually can't remember.
we didn't have a sports hall.
Maybe we just hung out in the room. All right, we got a Rob Lieberman next.
No idea.
Fucking All I Want for Christmas.
I don't know what the fuck that is.
It doesn't matter.
Made up. Okay.
Made up. Okay, we got a. This is the kind of title of a film I like, in that it's the something in the something. It's not as good as The House, the Clock, and the Walls.
The something in the something. Have you heard of it before?
No.
Oh, well then why would I have heard of it?
Because
in
you
it?
know.
I don't know 1991 though. I don't know what came out in 1991.
Okay,
or what didn't.
it's a long title, so I have to type it in.
Oh Jesus.
Never mind. This is a fucking Wes Craven horror.
Oh,
You haven't seen
The
this.
House at the End of the Street or something.
The People Under the Stairs.
Never heard of that one. Okay. The People Under the Stairs. Me using my bathroom like I'm
yeah.
the people under the stairs. It's me.
I actually haven't heard about it on this. All right.
Yeah.
We'll do like 2 more.
November, not a great time.
No. Okay, this is a Jodie Foster directed film.
Jodie Foster directed 91.
Yep.
What? She was directing before Silence of the Lambs.
Yep.
That's nuts. I have no idea.
It's not what he knows, it's what he understands.
No idea.
This is.
Couldn't possibly tell you.
She stars in it with Diane West.
Tell me what it is.
Diane Weist.
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 Tell me what it is.
This is Little Man Tate.
I have heard of that.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, and I didn't know it was directed by Jodie Foster.
Dee Dee is a sole parent trying to bring up her son Fred. When it's discovered Fred is a genius, she's determined to ensure that Fred has all the opportunities he
God.
needs.
Diane Weist is the most unemployed 2-time Oscar-winning actor.
2-time Oscar-winning
currently
actress,
living.
Diane Weist.
And she's currently living and working, yeah.
That's nuts.
The only other one with 2 was the MP who died there a few years ago. I can't remember her name. Gloria something?
Do you know Robert Benton?
No. Not really.
Lauren Dean and Dustin Hoffman and Nicole Kidman and Bruce Willis and Steve Buscemi and Stanley Tucci?
Wow. What is that?
Billy Bathgate.
Oh, they're doing that on This Had Oscar Buzz this week.
Are they?
For Angelina Jolie, first Oscar nomination, maybe?
She's not on the list.
Sorry, name the woman who. What?
Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman's first Oscar nomination.
Yeah.
Crazy. Never heard of it. Might be worth a watch.
Maybe. A lot of people in there.
Yeah. All right. I think we have to finish.
Other People's Money, Highlander 2, Strictly Business, House Party 2 rounds out the top 10.
Awful.
Just not stuff we've
Not interesting. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. We hope you enjoyed. I will be back next week. You can visit boypartypod.com. You can follow boypartypod on Instagram. Please get home safe from the function. And by the time this comes out, we'll know the winner of March Madness. At this point, it's either going to be Bridesmaids, it's either going to be Dumb and Dumber, or it's going to be The Master, or it's going to be Baby Jane. Can't wait to find out. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.